What was your reaction to Kristaps Porzingis being thrown out last night when he was?
My reaction is, in professional playoff basketball, each individual must maintain its discipline, in particular when things go awry. And Morris Sr. had a really good game offensively, and they're going to need more of that if you're the Clippers. However, he's also an agitator. So is Patrick Beverley. That's one of the reasons why they get paid to play basketball. If you're Kristaps Porzingis and you know you have a technical foul, you cannot put yourself in that position. LeBron is right. The call can be bogus. Dirk is right. The call was soft. Patrick Mahomes was right. That is trash. Except if you're the adult individual who has the responsibility to stay in the game. If I pulled out the Dallas Mavs roster and I started to name 10 through 15 guys that wear uniforms or sit behind the bench, nobody wouldn't know who they are. You know why? Because that's their role. Let them worry about that. Let them make sure that Luka's okay when you have a technical foul. Because if Porzingis stays in that game, they have a legit chance to win. Without him, they didn't have a chance.
Okay, this is important. You are making an excellent point here. So I've been raving all morning long that they should never have thrown him out on that. The refs have to understand the circumstance that it would be his second technical. By the way, his first one was for arguing a call that was an absolutely terrible call. But what you're telling me is that the mistake Porzingis makes is they've got other enforcers on that team who should be stepping in there to protect Luka in that circumstance.
Absolutely, Greeny. Take it from a guy like Michael Jordan put in The Last Dance that Scottie Pippen didn't enter the game when Tony Kukoc made the game-winning shot, even though he was on the team. You could have left that off the story. You know what he also left out? Is that I got suspended one of those games for leaving the bench, walking 3 steps from it when Reggie Miller was 75 feet away, falling on the Bulls bench. And I got suspended for a game. That happens in the playoffs. Kristaps Porzingis. I know that there are going to be a lot of people on social media and in the actual media and in the NBA that tried to come to his defense for his actions. And I agree. The first technical foul, that one right there, that's just a terrible call. And as a matter of fact, I hope Adam Silver finds a way when players react to a call that was also a horrible call, the reaction is not punishable. You have to allow somebody to express themselves. And in that case, he should not have gotten a technical. But since he already has one technical, the most important thing is staying in the basketball game. And he was not there when his team needed him the most, and he'll learn from it.
Okay. This is the most sensible conversation about this we've had this morning, so that's well done. Let's get to the next piece of business. The Lakers start their series tonight against the Blazers, and the hottest player on the planet, that's Dame Lillard. Stephen A. Smith, as you know, has been picking the Lakers basically since the beginning, but he has some concerns now. Let's listen to Stephen A.
I ain't gonna completely jump off the bandwagon. I will confess to you that I'm incredibly nervous in the level of faith that I had in the Los Angeles Lakers prior to the pandemic, okay, doesn't necessarily exist based on what I have seen in the bubble. The reality is the Los Angeles Lakers can't make shots. They don't seem to be on the same page. The Los Angeles Lakers at this particular moment in time, I have not seen them show up in this bubble. Can I watch a couple of games first before I can see? Because I've been looking for the Lakers all season long. The Lakers that I picked from October to March, no doubt. That's the team that I picked to win the chip. I don't know who the hell these guys are that showed up in the bubble. I just don't know.
So he's concerned. Jalen, I'm trying to read the look on your face. Go ahead.
So a couple of things, and you know I love Stephen A. That's my brother. Make sure you check them out at 10 o'clock on First Take after our show, Get Up, that's doing a terrific job in the morning. What he did right there, Michael Greenberg, is called hedging your bet. Don't give me that, the team that you picked from October, November to March. You sat on television after March. While teams were entering the bubble, somebody put a microphone to your face and said, who do you think is going to win the championship? And while they were entering the bubble, while they were in the bubble, he said the Los Angeles Lakers. And the issues that he thought that they had then, he just not recognized that they have now. I wrote down what he said, by the way. He said that they can't shoot. Well, they didn't change players before the pandemic until the pandemic. They have the same roster, right? He said they're not on the same page. Well, they've had meaningless games in theory in the bubble. Their first meaningful game is actually going to be against the Portland Trailblazers in the playoffs because they were already slotted in. How do you think a 35-year-old in his 17th year with gray hair is going to approach some meaningless games at the end of the regular season? Low manage? That's what would have happened if they were regularly playing. The last thing he said, not show up. This is when they need to show up against the Portland Trailblazers and the backcourt that I affectionately call Mama's Boys that represent mid-major colleges in C.J. McCollum and Dame Lillard, who have been lights out, and Nurkic, who's an anchor down low. And as much as I love the Portland Trailblazers, and it's a feel-good story that they're in the playoffs, I have news for Stephen A. Smith and everybody else. Lakers in 5.
So you're feeling it. Van Gundy said to me on radio yesterday, Jalen, he thinks there's a better chance that the Lakers sweep the Trailblazers than there is that Portland wins the series. Sounds like you see it that way, too.
Well, here's the thing. Where the Portland Trailblazers are great in their backcourt, for example, right? They're going to put up big numbers, and nobody loves Dame Lillard more than I do. Every time we do a list on this show, Greeny, we've been doing it for 2 or 3 years, and I make sure the only person that don't have a ring that I put in front of Dame Lillard is James Harden, not Anthony Davis, for example. And so in this playoff, however, up front, they don't have Trevor Ariza. Carmelo Anthony's done an amazing job of making timely shots, and Zach Collins. Those latter two guys, you know their main responsibility in this series? It's going to be to guard LeBron James. That's going to be their main job, to guard LeBron James. And that's going to be a problem.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.